Hi, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of a Tailor-Made Life podcast, where every conversation is one step closer to designing the life that God has for you. I am your host, Taylor Renee, and as always, I am so excited to have you back here with me. All right, you guys, let's just get right into it. One thing that I've learned on my corporate journey is that professionalism and personality are not enemies, right? They coexist as one. Now, it may sound trivial to some of you guys, but to others that may feel like uncharted territory. I personally thought that they were. I thought that you could not be a professional and have a personality, if that made sense. I thought being a professional meant, kind of being quiet, being reserved, being serious, and keeping like a lot of my personality hidden. I thought that if I wanted to succeed in corporate spaces, then I had to keep a part of myself back home, right? That I needed to become a totally different version of myself in corporate spaces. And what I've realized now is that that is so far from the truth, and it is actually counterproductive to your success. So the year this had to be like 2021. Yeah. Around 2021, I had landed my first internship, right? And I remember, of course, being so afraid and so nervous and, intimidated by the building and the people and the places and the baristas and all of the things, right? Looking back, I was afraid to show up as myself. And it sounds crazy now, but I've talked about my struggles in the past of having imposter syndrome. And this was kind of the start of that season of my life. But I was afraid to show up as myself, right? Like, it sounds crazy, but I genuinely worried that I was too black, right? I thought that, being black was already a strike against me. I know. But that's genuinely how I felt about it. I looked at my skin color, right, as a burden, as a strike against me. And so I did not want to add another strike by being too loud, too rambunctious. Like I didn't want to be too much. So I became quiet. I kept my head down. I did my work. I smiled when people smiled at me. I laughed when people said a joke. I did exactly everything that I thought would make me likable, right? I tried to be as easygoing and really a little invisible, And so one morning I was sitting at my desk and I just so happened to be listening to some music. I'm jamming out, doing some tunes. I was doing a lot of admin work in this internship. So, in admin work, you're already on the computer. I'm listening to some jams, right? And, I was enjoying myself, honestly. I was singing, I was rocking out to the music. And the next day, a coworker kind of pulled me to the side and basically told me that type of behavior didn't really fit the culture of how the team operates on a Monday morning. And I was a little taken back. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I'm sorry. Like, maybe, I'm sure that was probably a little distracting if, someone sitting next to you is really trying to concentrate and you're over here jamming out. So, you know what? From that angle, I totally understand. I apologize, but of course, me being 19, 20, 21 years old, right, that I kind of kept that internally. And that single piece of feedback, that one conversation, right, is literally changed how I showed up at work for years, right? It literally started from that moment on. I convinced myself that my personality was not welcomed in professional spaces. I would not suggest you taking one piece of feedback and internalizing it and having that change the whole trajectory of your life, if it's not edifying feedback, right? But unfortunately, that is the way in which it went. But it started this idea of me becoming a corporate robot, right? And, some of you guys may feel that way right now, where you go to work and you literally put your head down, you smile and say good morning, and you go to your office or your cubicle or wherever your workspace is, and you put your head down and you work. You don't say much, you don't laugh much, you eat your lunch, you come back, you finish working, you get off at 5 o'clock, and that's just it, right? You come back and you do it another day and another day and another day until it's Friday. And maybe you've received some type of feedback that created that mindset for you, right? Maybe you felt judged, or you had an experience that made you feel like the safest thing for you to do was to hide, right? But I'm here to tell you, like, that is, again, so far from the truth, right? We talked about in a previous episode about breaking up with the lies. That is a lie that you must break up with. You have to let that lie go, because it's not the truth, right? It's not how we are meant to operate in spaces at work. In fact, that can honestly be counterproductive and harmful to your career, to your journey to success, is being hindered by your shyness, right? By your timidness, right? And the reason that is because there's profit in your personality, right? There is growth, there's profit, there's ideas, there's $1 million idea in your personality right now. You don't even know it, right? No company hires robots. Now, okay, companies, well, that's not super true nowadays with the whole AI takeover. But for the companies that still hire humans, they hire humans for for a reason, right? And if they wanted a robot, honestly, we know that they would have been, turned your job into AI, right? But for the most part, companies, employers, managers, supervisors, whatever, they hire humans with the intentions of getting some type of personality, right? There's something about who you are, right, as a human, living, breathing being that is needed for that company or for that job or for that role, right? And so, long story short, there are two things that employers are looking for when going throughout the hiring process. First off is your skill set, right? What type of skills do you have that can, fulfill this role, make this job better, complete the task more efficiently, all of that, right? The second thing that they're looking for is how well do you work with other people? Are you a good fit for the team? That's the main thing that I hear when I'm talking to recruiters or seniors in my company in general, right? They're always looking for someone who fits well, who meshes well with the team, whose personality that they can relate to, right? And that's pretty much it, right? Like, nobody's expecting you to be perfect, but if you think about it, when a company hires someone, they're not just hiring a skill set. The skills is one part of it, is one aspect, and it is important, right? You must know how to do the job, right? But they're adding a new member to the team, right? To an existing team, right? Can this person collaborate? Can they receive feedback? Can they communicate? Can they build relationships? Are they, nice to others? Are they joyful? Can they contribute to the culture that we are trying to create here? Those things matter. And if we're being honest, my personality just wasn't the best fit for that particular team, right? That first internship that I had, I just wasn't the best fit for them. And that is okay. I was a bit more lively and expressive during that specific moment in time. And they were, a bit more stoic and reserved. And that's okay. Like, not every room is going to be your room. However, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you, right? It doesn't mean that, every culture or every team environment is going to be for you. It doesn't mean that you're going to thrive in every single one of them, but you do have the ability to show up as yourself, right? You have the ability to be as authentic and as truthful to who you are. You owe it to yourself, not to masquerade or to perform. But the second reason why this matters is because you do the best work when you're comfortable. And I'm not talking physically, of course, but emotionally and relationally. And when you feel safe to contribute, to speak up, to ask questions, and to be yourself, you are more productive, right? Like, think about it. In an environment where you're cool with your coworkers, your boss or your manager is a great guy or person, you're in a safe environment that allows you to speak up. Don't you feel more comfortable? Don't you feel more engaged? Don't you care more? Don't you care a little bit more about where this project is going, right? You collaborate better, right? You're more engaged. Instead of work feeling like you're surviving it, you are thriving in it, right? Work shouldn't feel like something that you are trying to get through every single day. When you're comfortable, it feels like you're participating in something, right? You're engaged in a team. That is what the work culture was intended to feel like. And when we're constantly monitoring ourselves or trying to filter every aspect of who we are, and who are in our personalities, it gets exhausting, right? But continuing on with the story, that was the first internship that I had received. The second one, I of course brought that same mentality into work with me. That corporate robot, put my head down, work, boring, not showing up as myself. This time, though, instead of it working, it completely worked against me, right? There would be times where I got so many questions, like, are you shy? Or why are you talking so low? Are you okay? Is everything fine? Are you feeling okay? Are you, like people were confused. Why? Because I had focused so much on being this professional and who I thought or what I thought a professional was, I forgot to show up as myself. I forgot to be Tailor, right? I forgot to bring my personality into the room, right? The only thing I had at that point in time to express who I was through my clothes, through my outfits, right? But everything else, I was so shy, so timid, so like, oh, let me just get to work. I'm right away, boss. I'm on it. And it's like, what is wrong? Like, are you okay? Like I forgot how to laugh and how to contribute. Like I felt like people were waiting to get to know me, right? And I forgot how to let them in because I was so intimidated and I was so afraid of showing up as myself, right? I didn't have any charm or any charisma or any sense of spunk or personality. All of that was gone. And the very thing that would have helped me fit in, that I thought would have helped me fit in, was the very thing that was keeping distance between myself and those around me. And so I want you to think about that because people want to get to know you, right? Like that's what I eventually realized in hindsight. Like those people weren't judging me. Like the people at your job, most of the time they aren't judging you. Now in some cases they may be, but for this best case scenario, they are not, right? They're not judging you. They're waiting on you. They want to hear your perspective. They want to hear your ideas. They want to hear how you collaborate. They wanted to know who you are, like what makes you laugh and what animals do you like? Or, like they are waiting on you to show up as yourself. And so by you hiding a piece of your personality, again, it is counteracting the progress that you are trying to make, right? And again, that's what I had to realize. I was so stuck on this old school idea of professionalism that I thought I could only show up in work mode, right? I thought that was the only way that would appease people, right? Now, I want to be clear because this is not a how to be charismatic video, right? Like I'm not even all that charismatic myself, so I couldn't even tell you how to do it or how to be it. So yeah, this isn't a how-to video, right? Everybody is not going to be the loudest in the room. Not everyone is naturally outgoing, or not everyone has the same personality, right? Duh, that's how it's meant to be, and that's totally okay. But everyone does have a personality, right? Everyone has a sense of humor. Everyone has a perspective. Everyone has something unique that they bring to the room, and all this video is meant to do is to help you bring that out. It's to show you and to help you understand why bringing that out is so important, right? It is what the company is what your boss, what your manager, what your coworkers, is what everybody's looking for, what they're waiting on, because there is profitability in your personality. So don't spend so much time worrying about the perception that you never allowed people to experience who you are. Now, one thing I did learn about charm and charisma is that the most charming people I've met aren't performing, right? Like, you don't want to be, again, the performer, the performing professional, right? They're simply comfortable being themselves. They're funny, they're thoughtful, and they're showing up in a way that is authentic to themselves, that fits the room, and that makes everyone feel included. Those three things essentially is what make up charisma, is allowing yourself to operate in fully who you are. You don't have to be the loudest, you don't have to be the one making the joke all the time, you don't have to be the center of attention, right? But when you find things funny, or if you have a joke, or if you want to contribute in a way that is, unique and personal to you, do it. Again, I don't want this to sound trivial, right? Because it can be harder in the more spaces that you're in that are a bit more intimidating. Now, I know all about that. I used to be someone who was intimidated easily by things that I was unfamiliar with. And that could be very much you. And it will hinder your ability to show up authentically, right? And that is what I'm trying to stop and avoid and warn you of, because it happens in the most intricate ways that we don't necessarily notice until we're out of it, right? And so, yeah, all in all, right, like I'm so grateful that God allowed for me to experience that and to go through those, those moments and trials and tribulations, right? For one, obviously, so that I can, speak on it on the pod and help others, but also allow me to experience both sides, to be on both sides of the coin, right? To the version of me that felt like I was too much and the version of me that became too little, right? Both of those things were so important to the journey and to my ability to speak to who I am today. Because now I understand something that I didn't know back then. And it's the rooms that God places us in aren't meant to erase us, right? Like the rooms that God places us in are meant for us to show up authentically, right? He placed you in this room, in this role, in this job, in this internship, whatever it is, for a reason, for you to show up. That room is made and fit to handle you. They're meant to refine us. Professionalism, again, is not about becoming a corporate robot. Professionalism, true professionalism, is learning how to bring your authentic self into a space while still respecting the others around you. That is the main point behind professionalism, is learning how to show up authentically as yourself. So, long story short, if you have been in a place where you're shrinking yourself at work, let this be your reminder, let this be your warning, let this be your motivation to stop, right? To recognize and to know that the rooms that God has placed you in this season, in this space, in this time of your life, the right ones that He's placed us in will not ever require you to disappear or to become someone that you're not, so don't feel the need to do that to succeed. This is all a part of the journey. It's all a part of the path to your success, and learning how to show up authentically while respecting others and reading the room and not performing for people, right, is what is going to carry you to that multi-million-dollar success story that you are bound to have, right? And more importantly, for just becoming who God has intended for you to be, more importantly, right? So, yeah, that's all I have for you guys. Till next time. Bye.